So imagine that we have a pedigree, a very small pedigree, where we have unaffected parents, parents who do not have a trait. And then we have kids who do have a trait and also do not have a trait. So in this such scenario, we probably have two heterozygous individuals. And they're able to have an affected individual because this would be recessive. And this could be either heterozygous or this could be either homozygous for the normal trait, which is dominant. So when you see two unaffected parents having affected children or children with that particular trait, this suggests that the trait or the disease, trait/disease, is recessive. If I kind of flip this around, where I have two affected parents and they have the trait, and some of their children, they have the trait as well, but also some of their children do not have the trait. Well, this suggests that in a similar case, that the trait in this case is dominant, the one that we're studying. So this could be either R or capital R. This could be little r, little r. So this means that the trait or the disease is dominant in this case. So this is what we deal with when it comes to autosomal disease or autosomal traits. Traits that lie on the first 22 pairs of chromosomes. So chromosome 1 to 22. However, if you're dealing with a potentially sex-linked trait, you're going to notice something different. So something that's a big giveaway of something being a trait being sex-linked dominant is if a male that is affected has all females that are affected. And the males are fine. So this potentially suggests that the trait for this one is dominant. But not just dominant, but it's also dominant and recessive. So all the daughters must inherit the X chromosome from the dad. Whereas the males, they only inherit the X chromosomes from the mother. And this is a big giveaway that the trait is X-linked dominant or sex-linked dominant. On the other side of this, imagine that we have an affected female. And that female has all male offspring that are affected. Now, this suggests that the trait must be sex-linked recessive. Maybe capital N is going to be the normal gene and little n is going to be the diseased gene. So in order for an affected female who, in a sex-linked characteristic, to exhibit those traits, she would have to have two recessive disease traits. So for example, color blindness. And then all of her sons will be colorblind because they have to inherit that colorblindness from mom. There's only one set of genes to inherit from her. And they'd have to inherit Y from dad. And the daughters would inherit this here, and they'll be fine. So if you have a mom or a female with all affected males, that suggests that this is sex-linked recessive, or it's a sex-linked recessive trait. And it's this type of patterns you want to find in your pedigrees to determine what kind of inheritance pattern you have. Just know that if there's no distinction, or if there's no overwhelming amounts of males and females having the trait, or males or females having the trait, then it's probably going to be an autosomal disease. And then all you have to do is figure out whether it's autosomal recessive, such as this one over here, where two unaffected parents have affected children and unaffected children, or if it's autosomal dominant, where two affected parents have affected and unaffected children. And if it's sex-linked, it's probably going to show off as a lot of females having the disease if their father has the disease, and all males having the disease if their mother has that particular disease, if it's recessive. So these are the 4 cheat codes to doing pedigrees. To copy these down, write them down, and try and look for these in your exam questions, and you'll do very well on your pedigree questions.